Welcome to week 9 of the MPFL spreads. We have reached beyond the halfway point of the season. There are some humdingers on the schedule for this week, so we wanted to make it a point to bring you the spreads earlier before the Thursday night game, which will have an impact on most of the games that are happening this weekend. So we're going to jump right in and just give you an overall look at the standings right now. Hart and Bristol are still firmly in control in the East. Of course, Hart is our only undefeated team. The champ, the two-time champ, he's been scuffling a little bit, but he got back in the win column 2 in a row after a 3-game losing streaks at 5-3, winning the Western Division. And we are right on their trail, even though we had a shit week. 5-3 made us. Now, the 4 playoff teams are Boston, Bristol, Rhode Island, and West Indian. And those 4 teams play each other this week. So this is a very important week, not only for those teams, but for Hart, because they're most likely going to be in the playoffs. But it's also important for Bergen and East Coast players and Bermuda, who are 4-4 and are reaching for that last playoff spot. So there is a lot of intrigue with this week, especially since the 4 top teams are all going up against each other in interdivisional showdowns. So let's get right to it, friends. We're going to get started with Bristol venturing to West Indian Chocolate Thunder Land. And we've got it right now, friends. Bristol 5-3 against spread. They are 3.5-point road favorites at the Chocolate Thunder, and we're going to break this game down. The reason we like them as a favorite is Thunder, since losing Dak, has been struggling. Has been playing terrible quarterbacks. Goff, waiver wiring guys, Fitz, and now had to make a deal this week to pick up a waiver wire quarterback to play this week because Breeze is at Tampa and Rivers, another waiver wire guy, is playing Baltimore. So the 2 of the top 3 defenses in the league are going up against his quarterbacks. So he had to pick up Locke, who's playing against the worst defense in the league, to stream this week. That's not really championship formula, especially when you got arrested Deshaun Watson. No trades were made to get rid of his wide receivers, and he's at Jacksonville. Jacksonville is 30th ranked in default points against quarterbacks. So this is why we have him favored, even though there are other nice matchups for ourselves, the Thunder, this week. David Montgomery doesn't get in the end zone, but gets a lot of burn. If he gets in the end zone, that's a plus at Tennessee. Tennessee is not that great, 25th against the run. Chase Edmonds is in. He's going against Miami. Obviously, Miami's been giving up a lot of yards. We like Chase Edmonds now. He was a big breakout candidate if Drake could get hurt, and we actually don't want Drake to come back because Edmonds just looks dynamic. Michael Thomas, a big question mark. It's Wednesday right now. We don't have the injury report until tomorrow. Or Friday, actually. But we just don't know if he's going to play. And if he does, he might be limited, and he's going up against that raucous Tampa Bay defense. So we don't like that matchup. Devontae Adams has a tough matchup at San Francisco, but he's the number 1 fantasy wide receiver when he plays. So you just got to have him. You got to roll with D Adams, when Rodgers is playing like this. D-Hop has a sensational matchup against Miami. Thielen has a great matchup against Detroit. Robinson has a great matchup against Tennessee. Lockett has a great matchup with Buffalo, even though that's a little bit tougher considering the wins in Buffalo, and Buffalo's only 8th, has the 8th best defense against wide receivers. Deontay Johnson's going up against the worst pass defense in the league, which is the Dallas Cowboys, so that's a huge one, while A.J. Brown is playing Chicago, which is going to be tough. So this game is going to hinge on that quarterback play. There also is some, really good defensive players going up against each other. You've got Devon White, the number 1 linebacker, going up against Patrick Queen, the number 2 linebacker. Greenlaw's in there. Leonard is back. He's dope. We know he's one of the best perennially. Khalil Mack is still getting his. And we picked up Sorensen because he's just playing so great, and Carolina is going to have to throw a lot to get back into that game with KC. So this matchup is a humdinger, friends. The site only has it as 1 point difference between the teams right now. And again, we have Bristol as 3.5 point favorites. Moving on. South Street players at New York Slaughterhouse. Now, we have Slaughterhouse 7.5 point favorite. SSP is 4-4 against the spread. Slaughterhouse 3-5. We like Slaughterhouse in this matchup because Dalvin Cook is going up against Detroit, and we just saw what he did against Green Bay. Against these divisional rival teams, but for Chicago, Dalvin Cook just fucking usually just goes off. He's a complete animal. So that's a big deal. Jones has a great matchup. Shepard has a great matchup. Fant has a great matchup. Gaskin got hurt and is out, but he'll slide somebody else in. I'm sure he'll pick up the pace there. We know about Rodgers, right? So great matchups here. Calvin Ridley doesn't look like he's going to play. AJ Green is on bye, so it's missing two pieces here for SSP. Matt Ryan is in, but I'm sure he's going to plug in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's got a great matchup with Miami, so we got to see what's going to happen there. But he doesn't have running back play. Jameel White, Urkel, just not a good play, not a good look. Claypool has a fantastic matchup, but he would have to get those 30 points or 31 points he got the 2 or 3 weeks ago to make this game relevant. We just see Slaughterhouse getting to 4-5 here and handily winning this game. So moving on. This is another good matchup this week where ECP, 2 4-4 teams. This is basically to decide who is going to make a playoff run. Because if you go 4-5, and some things break right with some of these other teams going 6-4 and you're 2 games down, it's going to be really hard to make up the difference. Right now we have ECP 3.5 road favorites. They're 5-3 against the spread. Bermuda's 3-5. And the reason for that, we really like Herbert's matchup against Vegas. Vegas having the 24th worst pass defense in the league. Russell Wilson have a tougher matchup in Buffalo this week. DeAndre Swift is going up the 23rd worst ranked run defense. Harris has a great matchup. Hastings has a fantastic matchup right now as it stands because of last week. Green Bay has the worst rush defense in the league. And Metcalf is just, Superman, right? He is the new Megatron for this generation right now. Defense is solid. Wagner was Defensive Player of the Week last week. Spillane was the Defensive Player of the Week along with Tuitt for Pittsburgh. They have a great matchup against a rookie quarterback in Dallas. Whoever starts there, Cooper Rush, Cooper, I don't know, I don't know who the fuck ever is going to start over there. Gabucci. Ronald Jones, he looks like he might be on the outs. He fumbled last week and then got no burn. Aguilar did nothing. Gallup is not going to do shit. He's going to get no burn. McLaurin has a good matchup. Tyreek Hill has a decent matchup. But I think this game is going to be tight. But I do think ECP has a real shot of pulling this one out with this upstart lineup of waiver wire guys and Harrison Hastings, coupled with Williams and the Herbert deal. And I think that he goes to 5-4. Moving on, we have Penn Hebrews. This is a shit game of the week, friends. This is your blowout special of the week. He's at Armada. Armada is 27.5 point favorite. Both teams are 3-5 against the spread this year. The reason we hit the spread is like this chunky, is this retarded, is that Penn Hebrews has almost 5 guys on bye. Wentz, Landry, Boyd, Sample. So he doesn't have another tight end on his team right now that he can play. So he's got to pick up somebody there. Daniel Jones is going to be his quarterback, the turnover machine. Not that Wentz isn't, but Wentz throws touchdown passes. McCaffrey is back, but he's at KC, which is the 5th ranked defense against running backs in default points. So, and he's only going to get about 70% of the touches, getting him acclimated. This game is a complete mismatch. Josh Allen has a great matchup with Seattle. Josh Jacobs has a great matchup. Chark. Gus Edwards is going to get burned. This guy Hall, because Galloway is out, is great. Juju Smith-Schuster should go off Dallas again. 31st ranked pass defense, second to worst in the league. We don't really want to spend too much more time on this. This game is a complete mismatch and blowout. And it could get ugly and ugly very early. Moving on. You've got Bergen visiting the PR Rottweilers. Of course, the PR Rottweilers are our resident shit squad of the year. But again, we talked about it last week. Made a lot of great deals. Made another great deal this week with us, of course. basically their draft ends in the 10th round next year. So just a phenomenal assortment or gathering of picks. Bergen is a 9.5 point road favorites, 3-5 against the spread. Rottweilers are 2-6 against the spread. Reason why the spread isn't bigger is Cam Newton's plugged in, like he's somebody. I know it's the Jets, but the Jets are actually not terrible. But for the Mahomes game, yeah, they've been getting fucked up. 25 forced against, but Newton has nobody to throw to. He was on the waiver wire for a reason. Bergen is perennially starting since the beginning of the season waiver wire talent at the QB position, and that's why they're 4-4 as opposed to 6-2 in our estimation because the quarterback play is so poor. Lamar Jackson, he hasn't been great. He's going up against a tough defense, but he'll get his 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor's been something's wrong with him. He basically gets the ball and runs into the line every play. He doesn't look to make a move or make a cut or kind of see where the blocks are going. Now he may lose burn to our boy Wilkins. He's got a big QAnon, symbol next to his name. So we don't know. Zach Moss is all right. Dobbins looked really good last week. We like the pickup of Corey Davis. Judy's been solid. Ebron is in. And the defense is solid for PR. On the other side of the ball, Derrick Henry has a tougher matchup with Chicago, Jackson looked really solid last week. DJ Dallas, we don't know if he's going to get burned again and play, but if he does, he was solid. Robinson's great. Diggs is solid. Love Kelsey. So there is a reason why Bergen is favored. Outside the quarterback play, he's a 9.5 point road favorite. But this easily could have been a 20.5 point road favorite if they had any modicum of a qualified or competent starting quarterback. So right now, it looks good for Bergen to get to 5-4, but you never know. It's why we play the games. And then finally, friends, this is your second humdinger of the week. This is the humdinger of the week, friends. This is the biggest game of the week. And that's none other than the Boston Heartbreakers visiting the Rhode Island Rampage. Now, these are two teams that right now you would think are on a collision course for a Super Bowl matchup. They both are scoring 108 points a game average. So these are the two top scoring teams in our league. Obviously, Hart is 8-0. Rampage is 5-3. Rampage had run into a little bit of an issue going to 3-3. They had started 3-0. 1-2 in a row. Give them a lot of credit. Hart is a 9.5 point road favorite in this one, and we're going to dissect why. He's 7-1 against the spread. Rampage is 5-3 against the spread. So let's dive into this matchup. Quarterback play. You got to like Patty Mahomes always as the number one quarterback in fantasy. He's home, comfortably at home against Carolina. Carolina is nothing to scoff at. Their pass defense right now ranks 7th best in the league for some strange reason, but they have not played a talent like Patty Mahomes, right? I don't foresee 42 from Mahomes, but I comfortably see somewhere between 25 to 32 points from Mahomes. Tom Brady had an off week last week. It's a divisional game, rival coming in New Orleans. I could see him putting up 20 to 25 points pretty easily. New Orleans is the 27th ranked defense when it comes to quarterback play. So that's crazy. The game for me and why the spread got so chunky is that it hinges on this next matchup here, which is James Conner, right? Terminator, is going straight up against Ezekiel Elliott. Now, if I were to ask you, friends, who would you rather have at this moment on your fantasy team? A Zeke who's getting stuffed behind a makeshift line with a fucking whack-ass quarterback, or Conner behind an all-pro offensive line with a Hall of Fame quarterback and 3 amazing wide receivers. Not that Dallas doesn't have good wide receivers, but they don't have a quarterback or a line to allow them protection to throw the ball down the field, as we see what's happening right now. So this Conner is a complete mismatch when it comes to Zeke. Zeke is outside my top 12 running backs rest of season right now. Zeke is just somebody who's there by name. You hope he falls in the end zone, but he's not getting you $120 here and 2 touchdowns. Those days, for now, are gone until next year. So you have to really, really like this Conner matchup. This is a fucking blow-up matchup. You could see Conner getting $120 and 2 touchdowns here easy. Getting you close to 20 fantasy points. Gurley will fall in the end zone like he does 14 weeks in a row. He's fell in the end zone. Can fully expect that to happen. Kamara, always the best of the best, number one ranked fantasy running back. However, if there was ever a week to play Rampage, it is this week. He's at Tampa Bay. You saw the way White and fucking David, those two linebackers in Tampa Bay, run around the field and make plays, right? The defensive line is solid. Yeah, they lost Vita Veda, but they're still very, very solid. And the weather calls for rain in Tampa Bay. So that's not a great matchup for Kamara. You could see this one going a lot lighter for him in terms of yardage and or obviously scoring a touchdown. But you can never bench Kamara. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 1 point last week because of game script. Didn't look great running against that team. Right now, that Thielen CEH trade is a wash. Both of them got 1 point in their respective first game against each other. So they both did shit. Love the Gibson matchup for Rampage. Gallman's in because he did some work. He might get in the end zone. We don't know. That front four in Washington is pretty solid. Fuller is in. Like that matchup at Jacksonville. Marquise Brown versus Keelan Allen. That's another mismatch. Marquise Brown came out, was pissed with Lamar Blackson because he can't throw the ball to him properly. So, it looks like Jackson has forgot how to throw the football accurately. Not that he never knew how to, but last year he was a lot better. This year, he's just completely missing these guys wide open, and it's getting fucking annoying. I think it's part of the reason why he no longer plays for the ECP. Defenses are solid. Big deal here. Rampage looks like they've lost Garrett for this week. The number one defensive lineman, a man who could get you 20, 30 if he gets 2-3 sacks and some forced fumbles, which he has done this year. So that's a huge loss. Right now, he doesn't have another defensive guy plugged in. So I assume he's going to have to go to the wire to pull a defensive guy out of the hat. And, you got Baker back, Watson, and Fred Warner. You really, really like Hart's team this week. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. But the site has Hart up by 14 right now. We see it a little bit tighter at 9.5, but this game could swell to a 20-point runaway victory for Hart considering these matchups. So there we are, friends. Fantastic week of football coming up. Hope you guys enjoy. It's going to be really, really interesting to the wire.